Broadcasting from the Big Peach of Atlanta, Georgia. A show unfiltered, unscripted, raw. The Patriot Angle Podcast.
Coordinator Jack Del Rio is really ruffling some feathers and doubling down on his tweet, comparing the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol to Black Lives Matter protests. He talked about it earlier today, and our sports director Darren Haynes was there. And it seems like this team just loves being in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah, they're getting more negative attention, Zoe, and this time after one of their coaches compared the January 6th attack on the Capitol to the 2020 George Floyd protests. Washington Commanders defensive coordinator Jack Del Rio doubled down on his recent tweets about why the George Floyd protests in 2020 aren't getting the same attention as the upcoming congressional hearings on the January 6th insurrection.
Businesses are being burned down. No problem. And then we have a dust-up at the Capitol. Well, there's nothing burned down. And we're not going to talk about, we're going to make that a major deal.
Well, first, let's get the facts straight. At least 7 people died as a result of the insurrection at the Capitol, and more than 140 police officers were hurt. Countless people on Capitol Hill were threatened.
I express myself as an American. We have that ability. I've said what I want to say, and every now and then there's some people that get offended by it.
Some of the people who may disagree are the players Jack Del Rio coaches. Most of them are African American. When I asked Del Rio what kind of effect that may have on his players, there were no concerns.
Are you concerned that some of those players are a little bit concerned about what your personal opinion? No, I'm not.
Hours after facing the cameras, Del Rio tweeted, referencing the attack on the Capitol as a dust-up was, quote, irresponsible and negligent. And I stand by my comments condemning violence in communities across the country. But it may be too late. Del Rio's comments caught the attention of Virginia State Senator Jeremy McPike, who tweeted, yup, just sealed the deal to cast my vote as a no. I think what's burning down today is the stadium bill.
I mean, I think there's considerable questions about the organization, culture, and the ongoing things. It is tough to even consider it anymore. I mean, I'm a hard no. I'm a hard pass on this now.
Now, I reached out to the Commanders and President Jason Wright's office. So far, no official comment from the team, but Virginia Senator Jeremy McPike just texted me saying he was supposed to have a meeting with Jason Wright on Thursday about a possible new stadium, and because of all the negativity surrounding the team and the recent comments from Jack Del Rio, he, quote, has no interest in any further meetings.
One tweet did all that damage. All right, D, thank you so much.
All right, guys, welcome to tonight's show. Happy Saturday. We got a special podcast episode for all you guys out there. Trying to get the content out there as soon as I possibly can here on the show. We got a lot of developing news coming out of the Washington Commanders DC Jet. We were just basically briefed in, the majority of us all here in the country, that Del Rio, guys, was fined of up to $100,000 for comments that he had made just, a few days ago about the U.S. Capitol invasion, right? This coming out of ESPN.com put this article out. Literally, while protests after the George Floyd's murder. He did make side comments on the George Floyd murder. Now the Washington Commanders have fined the defensive coordinator, Jack Del Rio. Like I said, $100,000 guys, after his comments earlier in the week that he referred to the events of January 6th. Just what was it, about 6 months ago, 5.5 months ago, at the U.S. Capitol as a dust-up. He used the phrase dust-up. Now, what does he mean by dust-up? I'm gonna get into what he means by that, folks, because this dust-up that he's referring to is he's comparing that day to riots, looting, burning during the protests of the summer of 2020, which was just 2 years ago, this time 2 years ago, saying that the dust up that we've seen back in January at the U.S. Capitol did not show anything about rioting, looting, burning buildings down. They were just, upset protesters because they felt that their voice wasn't heard. Now, did they go a little extreme by breaking into federal buildings? Yeah, I think they did. But, I mean, nothing compared to what happened during the summer protest of 2020 with Antifa and Black Lives Matter. Now, in a statement, the Washington coach, Ron Rivera, said he met with Del Rio on Friday morning to express his disappointment in the coordinator's comments. Now, his comments do not reflect the organization's views and are extremely hurtful to our great community here in the DMV, which stands for the D.C., Maryland, Virginia district. That team, what they represent. And this was said by Riviera. He also says, and I quote, "As we saw last night in the hearings, what happened on the Capitol on January 6th earlier this year was an act of domestic terrorism." Okay, folks, let me stop it right there. Okay, Riviera is playing the entire narrative very strong. We see this coming out of mainstream. We see this come out of social media. They look at January 6th as an act of terrorism, which I don't think it was an act of terrorism. They did not show extreme measures. They weren't showing, cause of burning stuff down, beating people up, kicking ass. They weren't doing any of that shit. I seen the video several times, guys. And I can tell you right now, I did not see any nature being taken out. And this, Riviera said, was a group of citizens attempted to overturn the results of a free and fair election. Oh, you think it was free? You think it was fair, Riviera? Show me proof by the majority of those ballots that were basically that came in through mail-in ballots. Show me anything that was remotely honest about that last election 2 years ago. We're still trying to figure out what the hell happened. And then what else does he go? He also goes into saying that the fine money that the organization fined Del Rio, right, this past week, actually it was this morning, this morning, Friday here, the fine money that Riviera is saying will be donated to the U.S. Capitol Police Memorial Fund, he says. The Capitol riot left more than 100 police officers injured and 5 police officers serving at the Capitol on January 6th died in days and weeks after. Guys, I don't remember reading anything about any police officers dying from this incident. I don't remember seeing any of that. I don't see any Capitol Police that died. Maybe a few that got injured from, the amount of people that were there this past January. But I don't recall anybody dying. Check this out, guys. This is a clip that we'll plug into the show here of basically how Ron Riviera is literally going off on this entire situation. Check this out, guys. Sound clip number 4, Eric.
Sensitivity, particularly as it pertains to the George Floyd killing and the things that emanated from that, I certainly am glad that he apologized for the ignorant statement that he made in terms of calling the insurrection, per se, at the U.S. Capitol a dust-up. Highly inappropriate, highly insensitive, highly ridiculous. And Jack Del Rio should be embarrassed that those words came out of his mouth. But here's where I'm going to give a pause and leave Ryan Clark up there because I want to say something to him, especially since you're doing such a great job with the pivot in your podcast and you're reaching so many lives with what you're doing. See, Stephen A. a little bit different. Let me tell you why. What would appall some people like a Keyshawn Johnson? What would make Ryan Clark say, oh, I know how you feel now, okay? So you can never talk to me a certain way. Well, first of all, that's not entirely true because Jack Del Rio could have never talked to you that way. He never would have pulled that off. He uttered a syllable like that towards you. That would have been a wrap. So please, that was long before he said this stuff. So let's stop that. And he certainly would never say that to Sean Johnson. And the likelihood is that if he was directly communicating with players one-on-one, that would be different. That's not what the man was doing. And we don't want to address this, so I'm going to. He's white. He's not black. And there's a...
What difference does it make if he's white or fucking black? I'm tired of the fucking race card being thrown out on the table. He's white. He's not black. This is ESPN's Ron Rivera. He's known for his fucking sports rants all over the media world. ESPN, they even have a podcast through ESPN, through social media. Literally. He's white, not black. What difference does it make if he was fucking yellow or another fucking color? See, folks, it's always about the race card. He should be ashamed of himself. Why? It's free speech. Shouldn't Black Lives Matter be ashamed of themselves back in 2020 for the comments they said about statues? Historic statues? Shouldn't they be ashamed of themselves? Let's look at Nancy Pelosi, where she used the term, oh, they're just statues and people just do those things. Shouldn't those people be ashamed of and be held accountable for their actions? Shouldn't Nancy Pelosi be fined $100,000 for saying erratic behavior of terminology towards those historic statues? Hey, Ron Rivera, shouldn't Black Lives Matter be charged for criminal intent? How come you're not saying that on the show? Why? Because it doesn't fit the freaking narrative. Listen to more of this garbage, folks. More. Also, folks, and I'll go into a little bit brief here on the show, that now Del Rio is also scheduled, right? He's also scheduled to address the team this upcoming Tuesday when the Commanders will begin their mandatory 3-day minicamp. He's scheduled to address the Commanders, the staff, the coaching, the management, all this upcoming Tuesday. Now, on Wednesday, folks, Del Rio defended a reply he made on Twitter 2 days earlier when he tweeted, would love to understand the whole story about why the summer of riots, looting, burning, and the destruction of personal property is never discussed. But this is #common sense. Yeah, definitely. #common sense. How come the summer of 2020 of the riots and the destruction of personal property, how come that's not discussed in social media? How come it's not discussed on mainstream? But this January 6th event is being looked as an act of domestic terrorism. I'd love to understand the differences. Because I can tell you right now, my show, with the exception of maybe a few other shows besides myself, really would probably be the only one talking about this. I know mainstream wouldn't be talking about it. I'd love to understand, folks. Literally, love to understand. Now, folks, Del Rio also said that he felt that there were two standards being applied and that he was just expressing his opinion. But, guys, in a response to the final question of his new news conference, Del Rio called the Capitol invasion a dust-up, creating another controversy for the franchise. Because it's a dust-up compared to what happened in 2020. Because we don't hear any of that, folks. Any of that crap. Be right back after these short words, guys. Don't touch the dial.
My father taught me how to handle my first gun. I taught my son Oliver how to do the same. I've been shooting and hunting my whole life. So when people say I won't support guns, they're dead wrong. Boom! Other conservatives know that I'm strong on the Second Amendment. Ted Nugent, Rick Perry, President Trump. But our Second Amendment is not just about hunting. It's about our constitutional right to protect ourselves from intruders or an overly intrusive government. So as your next U.S. Senator, I will fight for our constitutional rights.
All right, folks, back here on the show. Now, I want to make it clear, guys, that, Ron Rivera also went into saying that Del Rio has a right to voice his opinion. No shit, he has free speech. It still exists in this country, by the way. But he says, however, words have consequences. And his words hurt a lot of people in our community. Oh, okay. Let's go back to Black Lives Matter. Let's go back to Antifa. Let's go back to politicians, mainly on the far left, with very little influence from the far right, which is the rhinos that had some partake in this. Let's look into the consequences of their words and their actions. Shouldn't they be held accountable? Why isn't that being addressed? Why is media forgetting about that? You want to talk about an insurrection? Let's talk about 2020. Let's talk about the mail-in ballots. Let's talk about the voter integrity, how quickly it was vanished in our society. Let's talk about that. I'd love to talk about that. I actually did talk about that the other day on the Kimberly Cloud Show, which gave me the honor to be back on her show. Which, folks, by the way, guys, if you did tune into that show on the Kimberly Cloud Show with myself and the author of Terror Strikes, Joseph Leonard, that show will be broadcasted, I believe, if I'm being correct, either this weekend. If not this weekend, it's going to be broadcast next Sunday. So either this Sunday or next Sunday. Stay tuned. As we get the updates, guys, we will post it on our website as well as our social media platforms with that content, which will be broadcasted to WWPR Tampa. So you want to check that out, guys. Phenomenal show we had the other night. But, we're talking about consequences, right? We're talking about how words hurt people. Okay, they do hurt people. We're pretty much living in a totalitarian type of government. I can tell you that right now. But also, folks, I do want to make it clear that this type of organization of now what they're saying will not tolerate any equanimity between those who demanded justice in the wake of George Floyd's murder and the actions on those on January 6th of what they're saying, guys, who sought to topple our government. Wow. I thought I seen that in November of 2020. I really, to be honest with you, I just seen a bunch of angry mob of protesters that got pissed off in January, took it a little too far, and broke into federal buildings. That is where the crime was. There was no extremism. There was no domestic terrorism. They weren't shooting anybody. I mean, I didn't see one video where somebody picked up a weapon whether it was a gun, an AR-15, a fucking crowbar, for Christ, anything, a fucking rock for that matter. I didn't see any of that, folks. Any of it. So the radical left is pretty much saying that they feel strongly that after the conversation from Del Rio, that he will have a greater understanding for the impact of his language and the values his team stands for. Oh, yeah. I thought it was I thought free speech existed in this country. I thought you're allowed to express anything that you desire in this country. Apparently, you're not allowed to say it because consequence has actions. Yeah, we get it. We get it. Sometimes if you say something, you might break, somebody's heart or feelings. We get it. We live in an overly sensitive type of world, But here's a statement here I want to read from the Washington Commanders. And folks, this statement is from the head coach, Ron Rivera. And I quote here. This is literally a tweet that he put out on Twitter just yesterday around about 2 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday, Eastern time. And the statement says, and I quote, "This morning, I met with Coach Del Rio to express how disappointed I am in his comments on Wednesday." Wait a minute. Hold on, folks. Eric, you gave me is this the right one, Eric? Okay, thank you. So, folks, I do apologize. This is actually the statement from the head coach, Ron Rivera. So I'll read it again. I'm sorry, folks. I thought Eric, I thought you gave me the wrong screenshot here, but okay, I got the right one now. Okay. So basically it says that this morning I met with Coach Del Rio to express how disappointed I am in his comments on Wednesday. His comments do not reflect the organization's views and are extremely hurtful to our great community here in the DMV. As we saw last night in the hearings, what happened on the Capitol on January 6th earlier this year was an act of domestic terrorism. A group of citizens attempted to overturn the results of a free and fair election. And as a result, lives were lost and the Capitol building was damaged. Coach Del Rio did apologize for his comments on Wednesday. And he understands the distinction between the events of that dark day and peaceful protests, which are the hallmark of our democracy. He does not have a right to voice his opinion as a citizen of the United States, and is most certainly is his constitutional right to do so. However, words have consequences, and his words hurt a lot of people in our community. I want to make it clear that our organization will not tolerate any inequity between those who demanded justice in the wake of George Floyd's murder and the actions on those on January 6th who sought to topple our government. Now, folks, I want to go back to that one part of the statement where basically it says that he does have the right to voice his opinion as a citizen, which he does. I'm glad they did admit that. He has a right to voice his opinion. And it's his constitutional right to do so. But did you see that one part where they said, however, words have consequences and his words hurt a lot of people in our community? Tough shit. Grow a set, move on, and go on with your day. Stop dwelling about it. Are we children or are we grown-ass adults and women? Are we going to go back to our kindergarten selves and say, stop yelling at me, you're hurting my feelings? Are we going to cry about it? Or are we going to go on with the rest of the day and live to fight another day? Meaning, go on with your day. Forget about it. It's over and done with. There's nothing you could do about it. It's over and done with. Stop using the race card. Stop classifying the differences between white and black individuals and knock it off, because it's getting a little neurotic this time. Our country is divided. You want to make it even more divided, or do you want to make our country more united and friendlier? Because when you do crap like this, you're making our country more divided than it was yesterday. Now, folks, on Thursday, get this here. I mean, they're not leaving this alone, folks. Just this past Thursday, 2 days ago. Oh, we're on Saturday already. Jesus, week's going by quick. Just 2 days ago, the Virginia General Assembly decided to table a vote until next year on whether to help fund a Commanders stadium in the state. What, they're not going to fund it now because of Del Rio's actions? Were they going to be like little babies about it and say, we're not going to give you money because you said a really nasty comment? I'm telling you, folks. Yeah, exactly. That's where I'm going with this. Even some state senators, folks, said that Del Rio's comments made that the decision easily, although there already had been a momentum toward tabling the vote. So now they're not going to go to the vote anymore, or they're going to give the entire franchise a hard time because of Del Rio's comments. I mean, do we really have more serious things going on in this country than worrying about someone's feelings getting hurt? I mean, come on, folks. By the end of the day, is that the society we become? A bunch of overly sensitive little babies? Are we adults or are we children? Seriously, you need to ask that question. Now, also on the same day, the NAACP president, Derek Johnson, called for Del Rio to resign or to be terminated because of his comments. Oh, my God. My God. Resign or be terminated. Because he has free speech in this country and he's allowed to express anything he desires, whether you agree with it or you don't. They're going to fire a man. They're going to silence a man because of his comments. Because we don't like them. We don't like them. Well, it's getting a lot of heat, guys. Check this out. Sound clip here from Tucker Carlson the other day, voicing his opinions on this. Oh, you got to check this out, guys.
Travis is the co-founder of Outkick. He joins us tonight. So, Clay, professional sports were a masculine domain. Any expression of masculine sensibility, the traditional masculine virtues, is now illegal. So the left just kind of came in and took over professional sports. So it seems like what happened.
You're 100% right. And that's why I haven't been surprised by sort of the continued scope of censorious culture that we've seen steal out across the entire landscape of American life. Because, Tucker, when I first started coming on your show, all I did was talk about sports. And it was troubling to me what I saw, which is if you were willing to even ask a question like Ron Rivera did, you got fined $100,000 for pointing out something, by the way, that's 100% true. The BLM protest led to more deaths. They created more destroyed property, billions of dollars more. They also led to far more destruction than what happened on January 6th. And yet nobody has ever bothered to look into it and say, hey, wait a minute, who organized all of these protests? What was behind them? And oh, by the way, why were Democrats able to bail out people who were arrested for violent crimes? And now we're going to have primetime hearings on January 6th? The message that's being sent there, and by the way, that was ESPN broadcasting. You come home, you pop open a beer, and you get a random person on ESPN telling you that you're a bigot if you don't wear a pride flag on your uniform at work. This is what the world has created, Tucker. They are sending a message, not just to Ron Rivera and not just to those Tampa Bay Rays players, but to the thousands of other people involved in professional athletics. That is, shut up. If you tell us what you think and we don't like it, we're going to come after you, your profession, and your livelihood. And this is what has spread from sports to everywhere else. Tucker, sports media is more liberal than the political media because without Outkick, there wouldn't even hardly be anybody in the world of sports saying, wait a minute, maybe Ron Rivera is entitled to his opinion. And without Fox News, there wouldn't really be this in the world of politics either. It's crazy where we are. I'm blown away. When I saw this news come out, I couldn't believe it.
So the statement from the Redskins was so Stalinist.
Yes.
That you have to wonder about the owner, Dan Snyder, I don't think he's crazy. Why would he put up with that?
I think that there's all sorts of political maneuvers that are going on right there. If you want to get behind it, they're trying to build a new stadium in Virginia. Dan Snyder's been under fire for cheerleader-related transgressions. By the way, congratulations to the NFL. The Carolina Panthers, Tucker, I don't know if you know this, now have a transgender cheerleader because I know everybody out there in the NFL who's watching the games has been clamoring, begging for there to be a man pretending to be a woman on the sideline wearing a cheerleading uniform. But this is the world that we now live in athletics. And it's not only that, look, you should be able to say whatever you think. The same people, Tucker, who have been losing their minds over punishment to Colin Kaepernick for his political beliefs, but I haven't seen them say a word about Ron Rivera being fined for his, which is the next level move in the world of sports.
Clay Travis, for us tonight. Great to see you. Thank you.
Great to see you as well. Have a fantastic.
Yeah. This is the world of sports here in America. He makes a good point there on Tucker. Both of them, Tucker including himself, he makes a damn good point. And then they just brought in the new cheerleader now that's on the Carolina Panthers, right, Derek? Eric? Almost called you Derek. Didn't I call you Derek? Eric. I'm sorry, it'll never happen again. Eric. Yeah, the Carolina Panthers. Yeah. The Carolina Panthers guys, they have a transgender now as a cheerleader. Oh, it's they have to do this, I guess, in support of the Alphabet Month, LGBTQ plus, right? God forbid if we say the wrong pronoun, we're looked at as a bigot, a racist, a homophobe, a transphobe, or this or that. Or, you're attacking the gay community. Shut up. We don't want to hear it. But guys, they're going after Del Rio, which is causing a stir, literally. And it caused a stir like 2 years ago. Remember the various tweets when telling somebody who found out he supported President Donald Trump? I'm 100% for America. If you're not, you can kiss my ass. Remember the tweet? Yeah. I like Del Rio. He's very patriotic. He's got my support. I tell you that. Del Rio, you do what you got to do, buddy. Don't let the liberal radical left machine bring you down. But you remember those tweets, right, guys? It did not damage his relationship with the players. The players looked up to him. They still do. I just seen images come out of just earlier this week. He's giving, fist bumps to all the players. Hey, man, good job. You're doing awesome. It's media narrative, folks. It's what it comes down to. Just media narrative. They want to go after Del Rio, and then the new allegation of sexual misconduct against Snyder. What was that about last week? Almost a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, with the accusations against Snyder with the sexual misconduct. I mean, folks, anything you got to be careful, today, because we have free speech in this country. It could be looked at like 5-6 different angles. You got to be careful what you say on social media now, because they could be calling you a racist, a white supremacist, a this or that, But God forbid if somebody like Joe Biden, went up to a group of black individuals and said, you don't vote for Joe Biden, you ain't black. You remember that? Yeah, that's our president that we have. This is the society that we have. Yeah. They want it, folks. They want that political divide in this country. You know, it's terrible. It's terrible. I can tell you right now, folks. What I express myself as is a true American patriot. I say what I want when I want and voice my opinion to whoever or whomever I desire. Because you know what, Jack? This is America, the greatest country on the face of the earth. And I'm allowed to voice any opinion, whether you like it or not. Same goes to you. That's why we have free speech. That's why it's the First Amendment in the Constitutional Bill of Rights. Get over it. Move on with your lives. Stop dwelling about shit. So, what's going to happen? I'm going to close it out here in just a minute, guys. What's going to happen with this Del Rio story? You think Del Rio is going to get fined even more? Are they going to terminate his role in the Washington Commanders? There's an article coming out of Fox News here. I want to, Eric, pull this article up here because this is actually very, very interesting. That now NFL Hall of Famer Ed Reed says $100,000 fine handed down to the Commanders coach Jack Del Rio is not enough. Oh, it's not enough? Not enough? What else do you want to slap onto him? It's coming from a Pro Football Hall of Famer that was inducted into the Hall of Fame back in 2019. Remember Ed Reed? Yeah. This is what he said just yesterday. That Washington Commanders head coach was given a little slap on the wrist, and it's not enough. Not enough? Because he made in the speech, he says, and he was comparing the January 6th event to the riots of 2020 following the death of George Floyd. Right? We see murders. We see killing from Black Lives Matter and Antifa. But if you ever say that on social media, they fact check you. They call you a misinformer and this and that. It's true, accurate knowledge. Look at the videos. You think the videos lie? They're all over the internet, folks. Antifa, Black Lives Matter are literally burning down police departments, police precincts in inner cities, burning down businesses, stealing products from small businesses, people that work their ass off to start those businesses. But nah, they don't say anything about that. You know what they use for that? No justice, no peace. Remember those words in 2020? You hardly ever hear those words anymore. I had to hear the crap for a year. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. Political narratives, folks. That's what it is. Political narratives. So following the news of the fine that was handed down to Rio, the NFL Hall of Famer Ed Reed also made his thoughts known on Twitter, saying the fine was too light of a punishment. Oh, okay. Yeah. Get this, folks. I'm sorry. I'm laughing because these are people that have nothing better to do in their lives than just to come up with some stupid crap. Ed Reed coming out and saying, today I'm sick and tired. A dust up? A dust up? Is that what he calls it? $100,000 is not enough. Money ain't nothing. To a person who is recycled through coaching. And this is what Reed posted to Twitter just earlier today, Saturday morning. It's always one. First it was Saban. Now it's Jack, to just remind U.S. what it is. Man, if you coached by him, put your pants on. It's simple right and wrong. Wrong. They're words, folks. Are we going to cry about fucking words? I mean, crazy. Crazy stuff. Now, here's my closing here. Sorry, folks, I'm getting a little winded here because I'm looking at some of these tweets that are coming through, with Del Rio, and I mean they're pushing this agenda really hard, folks, really hard. I mean, this is like becoming like the number one headline on the fucking news today, because he voices his opinion, right? So they got to attack him like that. My God. Seriously, we've lived in a society where people are just going to, they're going to get a little upset and they're going to get a little angry, and no one's going to want to get along anymore, and this and that. I mean, seriously, folks, it's time to grow the hell up. Grow up. Stop being babies. Live your life and get on with your life. Seriously, get on with your life. I mean, it's crazy here. I want to play a soundbite here, guys. I want to get into first I got to get into a sponsor. Thank you, Eric, for reminding me. I got to get into a sponsor, guys. We're now being sponsored by the great company Helium 10. Thank you, Helium 10. We have a promo code out there right now, guys. If you use Patriot 10 when signing up for helium10.com, you're going to get 10% off every month just by using that promo code Patriot 10. Also, too, guys, we have another promo code, Patriot 50. The first month you get 50% off, guys. Phenomenal stuff, guys. Head over there, helium10.com. Great for the e-commerce merchant that's trying to get their products out there. You can launch it on Amazon.com, Walmart.com. Really, really good stuff, guys. Really good stuff. I can't say anything more about them. They're a great company. I want to thank them for basically supporting the show. It means a lot. It really does, guys. It means wonders. Also, too, guys, I'd like to also give thanks to Amazon.com. That's right, guys. We have a promo code for those who listen to a lot of podcasts, a lot of music on Amazon Music. Head over to getamazonmusic.com/The Patriot Angle, and you're going to get the first 30 days on us for free. That includes over 50 million songs, podcasts, talk shows, everything on Amazon, guys, that you could possibly think of. Even the premium content, you're going to get it for free. As if you were a premium member. You get the first 30 days for free. Check it out, guys. 30 days. Hey, it's not a bad deal. So again, guys, getamazonmusic.com/The Patriot Angle. And you're going to get the first 30 days for free. Can't beat it, guys. Before I close it out, guys, I also I want to give a big shout out to a few people here. First, I want to give a shout out to the Kimberly Cloud Show for allowing us to be on her show a few days ago. That show, that broadcast that we did with Joseph Leonard and Kimberly will be broadcasted to WWPR Tampa. Okay. I believe it's this Sunday. Don't quote me on that. We're still getting the information. I will make the notation and the updates through social media here, as well as our website. You're going to want to check that out, guys. Really, really good stuff. Also, too, guys, you're going to want to check out our merchandise, PatriotUnfiltered.com. We have some really, really new merchandise on there. We have new mugs, new T-shirts, yoga pants. Just about everything is on PatriotUnfiltered.com, as well as our website, guys. Check out the website, PatriotCast.com, guys. You're going to want to check that out. It's a really, really unique website. Most of all our content is on that. So you're going to want to check that out, guys. Really, really good stuff. With that being said, guys, I want to close it out. I want to thank anybody who tuned in. And remember, guys, you can always listen to any one of our podcast episodes, basically past and present, whether on Spotify, Google, Apple, Amazon Music. We're now on Audible, guys. That's right, guys. We are all over the place. So check out our content, guys. I think you're going to like it. Got a lot of good stuff there. A lot of good stuff. With that being said, guys, thank you for tuning in. And we'll see you this upcoming Tuesday with myself and Jimmy the Rant. Take it easy, guys.